Alright guys, so I wanted to do a little planting video for you guys on how I plant my fruit trees. I don't know if there's a proper way to plant a fruit tree, so I'm just going to show you my way of planting a fruit tree. Okay, so first we start with the hole. I'm going to do this video in 3 parts because I don't have anyone to hold the camera for me, and it takes time between parts anyway, so we'll do 3 parts here. So this is the first part, is digging the hole. Now in this particular case I wanted this tree to go in on my trellis wall so I can espalier the tree, and in order to do that I had to cut through my concrete driveway in order to get this hole made. So that was the first step. Took out the concrete, which you wouldn't normally have to do. And the next part's digging the hole. So this is a 4-foot tree ring, so you can kind of see comparatively to that and the shovel about the size of the hole. I basically extract for each tree about 3 of these 15-gallon containers worth of native soil, and that's just going to go to the yard to berm other trees or whatnot. It's not going to go back into the hole. In fact, a lot of that's the first foot of this soil, which is completely leached of all minerals and life, and it's compacted. So once you get past that first foot, you're usually into some pretty good soil actually. Here it is there. So I got 3 of these removed. Now the next step is I'm going to put in some high quality compost, so I make my own. What's this here? This is my orchard compost. And I'm going to backfill with at least 2 of the 15-gallon containers worth of compost, about 2 years worth of root growth and compost before the plant can start to feed itself, and of course the mushrooms and bacteria. So after that point you're not too worried about the plant, but basically you want to think about it like this. The bigger hole you dig, the roots, instead of being little needles hitting the hard wall of the native soil, they'll be kind of like swords, because they'll be quite a bit larger at that point, and they'll have no problem at that point punching into the sides of our native soil. So you want to give them about 2 years worth of growth, so a pretty good sized hole, in order for those roots to expand. And we're going to leave a little bit of the native soil in. We're going to go 50-50 mix on this, just so that the tree gets a little taste at least of our soil, and it can start to adjust to the alkalinity and the mineral content, whatnot. So you never want to use a straight mix like this. You want to use a compost. Okay, so I've backfilled the hole with my compost. This is my Orchard Gold mix. You can kind of see I've got it mixed here about 50-50 with the native soil. It should look about like this when you're done. And then I've extracted enough of the hole to plant the tree. So this is the one I picked up recently. This is a Flavor Delight Apium. And what I've done previous to this is I've soaked this pot in a bucket of water for about an hour, because when you put the tree and the soil that it came in the hole, you want that to be completely soaked and nice and saturated, because if you let it dry up, it seems to never really hydrate that pot and that pack again. Once that dries up initially, it just kind of wants to wick around the sides. So you want to soak this pot so that it's completely saturated. So the next thing is he's going to go in the hole, and that'll be video 3. Alright, and here is the final video. So you see I've got the tree in, strapped to the espalier, Got him backfilled with the mixed soil. And you can see I have him really deep to grade, which is commonly not recommended, but I find in Arizona sinking the plant a little further in the ground really helps the tree out. Okay, so the next step is we're going to come back in our tree well and we're going to fill it with one more of these 15-gallon containers worth of my compost. Okay, that's in. You want to level it. Now the purpose of this is to feed the tree continually from this point on. You just dump your compost in the well right on top of the old, and as it settles and gets eaten by all the soil microbes, which is actually what you're feeding, you're not actually feeding the tree, you're feeding the soil microbes in the soil, the fungus and the bacteria and the beneficial nematodes and the earthworms and the earwigs, all the primary decomposers. So we want to spread this out nice and even in the well. This is his long-term food. So this is just straight compost on top. Okay. That pretty level. Okay. So that's that step finished. Now I'm going to go on top with another 15-gallon container with some good quality wood chips. And what this is going to do is retain the moisture, and this will also feed the fungus later on in life here. So let's get this in here. Okay. Get these spread out on top of the compost. Sorry for the shaking, guys. I don't have a camera person here. Okay. Sure you have it completely covered. At least 3 or 4 inches, if not deeper. I'm going to go ahead and do what everyone tells you also not to do, and I'm going to go ahead and pile a bunch up here on the trunk. Let's just get it all up on the trunk here to kind of prove a point. Just not be too careful about how we do this one. Okay. Just don't go above the graft. That's the only real concern. You see the graft line on this tree is right here. So you never want to bury above this point. And that's when they come into issues with problems in fungus and bacteria, because it enters the end of the original tree that this was grafted onto. There's an end grain on this side. You really can't see it from here, but just stay below that graft union and you'll be okay with piling up stuff against the trunk. Alright, so let's check our finished product here. Alright, he should be good for years to come.